The galaxy had grown quiet in this distant corner of space, but the calm was deceptive. On the crystalline world of Violia, a storm of fear and despair churned beneath the surface. Towering cities glimmered under twin suns, and the alien citizens went about their daily lives with practiced precision. Yet behind closed doors, the leaders of the planet were desperate. The Violians were an advanced species. Their ships moved faster than light, their weapons could punch holes through asteroids, and their minds worked like living computers. But even they had limits. For months, a relentless enemy, the Oblivion Swarm, had attacked their borders. Entire colonies were gone. Defense fleets that had once inspired awe were now nothing more than drifting wreckage. Amid this chaos, Kryn, the chief envoy of Violia, paced the polished floor of the council chamber. His long, silver limbs reflected the light of the setting suns. His voice shook only slightly as he addressed the assembled leaders. "They will not stop. The swarm is unstoppable," Kryn said. "We have tried everything, our weapons, our fleets, our intelligence, all fails." A silence filled the chamber. The council had expected this. The Violians were proud, but now they faced something that pride alone could not solve. Kryn's next words carried both hope and fear. "There is one option left. I will send a plea to humanity." A murmur ran through the council. Humans. The species that other civilizations considered young, unpredictable, and untested. "Humans are far from our systems," one elder said. "Their fleets are small. Their technology is primitive compared to ours." Kryn's eyes narrowed. "Primitive, perhaps, but they are different. There is something in their spirit, something the swarm cannot predict." The council was reluctant, yet desperation had a voice louder than caution. Finally, they agreed. Kryn left immediately, boarding a fast courier ship and preparing to send a message through the interstellar network. He tapped the controls, heart-pounding. 1,000 words might not be enough to explain their plight. He pressed the final key and the message streamed through the galaxy. "We are losing. Our world, our people, our very existence is threatened. If any species can help us, it is humanity. Please come before all is lost." Then he waited. Light years away on Earth, the human government received the signal. Their first reaction was surprise. Humans were not accustomed to receiving interstellar distress calls. Some dismissed it as a hoax. Others, however, recognized the urgency. The United Earth Council convened immediately. Leaders from every nation joined via holographic links. Scientists, military commanders, and diplomats all crowded the council chamber. "Are we certain it's real?" asked Admiral Chen, the head of Earth's Space Defense Fleet. "It came through multiple channels," said Dr. Amani, a leading astrophysicist. "The technology is alien, yes, but the message is authentic, and the situation dire." There was a pause. Humanity had a reputation. Other species often underestimated them. Earth's fleets were small, mostly exploratory vessels and research ships, not vast war machines like those of other civilizations. Yet humans had something else: creativity, courage, and adaptability. "We will help," Admiral Chen said firmly. "Prepare a fleet, small but fast. Efficient, the Violians need us and we cannot ignore them." Back on Violia, Kryn waited anxiously. Days passed, then weeks. And then a small human fleet appeared on the edge of their system. Not dozens, not hundreds, but 5 ships, humble by galactic standards. The Violians watched in disbelief. Their admirals shook their heads. "This is all they sent?" one asked. Kryn's jaw tightened. "Do not judge by size alone, watch them." The human ships glided into the system with calm precision. There were no grand displays, no loud announcements. Yet their presence carried a subtle confidence. Alien sensors could not detect it, but every Violian who watched felt it. Humans were unafraid. When the humans contacted the Violian Council, their message was simple. "We are here to help. Tell us what needs to be done." There was no boast, no threat, no promise they could not keep, just calm, clear purpose. The first joint briefing took place on a massive space station orbiting Violia. Kryn and the human commanders faced each other across the table. Humans were smaller in number, yes, but their demeanor was unshakable. Captain Alex Harper, the leader of the human fleet, began. "We don't have the numbers your species might expect. But we do have something you might not: flexibility. We adapt, we improvise, and we fight smart." Violian admirals exchanged doubtful glances. "Improvise," one said. "Our tactics are precise. Randomness is dangerous." Harper smiled faintly. "Sometimes unpredictability is the most powerful weapon. The swarm doesn't understand humans yet. That gives us an advantage." Within hours, the humans were analyzing the swarm's positions, movements, and attack patterns. They moved quickly, splitting into smaller units, coordinating strikes and sharing information instantly. The Virelians were astonished. "Look at their data flow," Kryn whispered to his assistant. "They communicate faster than our fastest networks. And their decisions, they change mid-battle in ways we would never consider." The first engagement came soon after. A swarm fleet approached Virelia's outer colonies. The Virelians readied their largest defense ships, expecting a massive clash. The humans, however, acted differently. 5 small human ships darted in and out of the swarm formation, using maneuvers that seemed reckless. They planted devices that disrupted the enemy's navigation systems and targeted key command ships with surgical precision. The Virelians watched in shock as the swarm fleet began to falter. Ships that seemed invincible were destroyed not by force, but by strategy and timing. Kryn felt a strange mixture of relief and awe. "They are extraordinary," he murmured. Word of the human tactics spread quickly among the Virelian ranks. Soldiers who had been ready to surrender now fought with renewed energy. They began to imitate human strategies, to trust in the unexpected, and to act with courage they had not felt for months. In the quiet moments between battles, Kryn observed the humans closely. They were simple in some ways. They laughed easily, joked in their strange accents, and treated each other with camaraderie. Yet beneath that simplicity lay steel. Each human carried confidence not born from arrogance but from experience and teamwork. One night, Kryn spoke with Captain Harper privately. "Your people, I do not understand fully. You are few, your ships are small, yet the swarm falters before you. Why?" Harper's answer was simple. "We are humans. We survive not by being the biggest or the strongest, but by thinking, adapting, and never giving up. The swarm is predictable. We are not." Kryn felt a chill. He had seen many civilizations fall to the swarm, even those much larger and more advanced than his own. Humans were different. As Part 1 drew to a close, the galaxy began to notice. Alien traders, scouts, and intelligence ships recorded the events in Virelia. The story of a tiny human fleet facing a massive enemy and succeeding spread from system to system. In the council chamber, a Virelian elder said quietly, "The humans, we underestimated them." Kryn nodded. "Yes. And the galaxy will soon learn that underestimating humans is a mistake no one survives twice." The stars themselves seemed to hum with anticipation. Somewhere deep in space, the swarm prepared its next attack. But this time it would face not just a young species, but a species unlike any other, unpredictable, courageous, and unafraid. The battle for Virelia had begun, and humanity's presence would change the course of the war in ways no one yet understood. The sky above Virelia's outer colonies burned with the light of distant battles. For weeks, humans and Virelians had fought side by side against the relentless Oblivion swarm, and the results were slowly changing the tide of the war. What had once seemed impossible now felt achievable. Captain Alex Harper and his small human fleet had grown accustomed to the alien ways, yet the humans never tried to mimic them. They acted according to their own strategies, fast, adaptive, and above all, unexpected. The Virelians watched in awe as small human strike teams penetrated enemy formations with surgical precision. Entire enemy squads would vanish without the swarm ever knowing what had hit them. Kryn, the Virelian emissary, paced nervously on the observation deck of the orbiting command station. His multiple arms clenched the railing as he observed human pilots maneuvering their ships with what seemed like reckless freedom. Yet every movement had purpose. "They are doing it again," he whispered to an assistant. "The swarm did not anticipate this." The assistant looked on in disbelief. "They are so few, how can they possibly succeed?" Kryn shook his head. "It is not numbers, it is how they think." On the front lines, the swarm had begun to notice the humans. Their attacks, previously methodical and terrifying, now faltered. Key swarm ships were disabled, and communication lines were disrupted, often without warning. The humans never used brute force alone. Instead, they analyzed weaknesses and exploited them ruthlessly, but carefully. Not a single human move was wasted. Lieutenant Mara Reyes, a human tactician, directed a team of strike drones toward the heart of the swarm's formation. "Keep it tight, watch their patterns. They always repeat the same mistakes," she instructed. Her voice was calm, yet commanding, the kind of voice that demanded focus and action. The Virelian observers were stunned. "They speak of mistakes as if they know the enemy's mind," one commented. "But how can they?" Reyes replied with a small smile. "We anticipate, we adapt, it is what humans do." Back on Virelia, the swarm commanders grew frustrated. They had crushed fleets larger than this human force in the past. Yet the humans were unlike any species they had faced. Small teams struck without warning, disappeared without a trace, and forced the swarm to fight in ways that confused their every calculation. Admiral Torvan, the swarm's general, communicated with rage. "These humans, they are insignificant in number, yet they strike where we are weakest. They change the battle itself." The swarm did not understand fear in the way humans knew it. But now, the seeds of doubt had been planted in the alien commanders' minds. Human ingenuity extended beyond space combat. On Virelia, engineers worked alongside human specialists to retrofit defense systems. Harper and his officers did not bring advanced alien tech. Instead, they looked for ways to use what was already there, Virelian ships, energy grids, even terrain features, to their advantage. One evening, Kryn walked through the engineering bay with Harper. Sparks flew from machines as human engineers adapted alien weapons into precision tools. "How do you see possibilities that others cannot?" Kryn asked. Harper shrugged. "We are humans. We look for solutions, not excuses. Sometimes the smallest change can make the biggest difference, and we never stop looking." Kryn marveled at their efficiency. These humans were not only courageous but creative. They challenged every assumption the Virelians had about war, strategy, and intelligence. The next major engagement began at the Iron Rift, a dangerous region where gravitational anomalies threatened even the most stable ships. The Virelians feared sending their fleet into such a trap, but Harper volunteered. "We can use the rift to our advantage," he explained. "The swarm expects us to avoid it. That is where they will be weakest." The council hesitated. Sending humans into the rift seemed reckless, but Harper's calm confidence swayed them. The humans entered the rift in small units, weaving between gravitational eddies and asteroids. They struck at swarm command ships, leaving them in disarray. Virelian commanders who had once doubted humans now whispered among themselves. "They are fearless and clever." By the end of the battle, the swarm suffered losses far greater than expected. Human ships, nimble and precise, had changed the course of the fight without a single colossal assault. Word of human tactics spread quickly. Across neighboring star systems, alien races began to talk of the humans who fight small, think big, and never give up. Traders, scouts, and military observers documented every encounter. Fear and respect began to grow in equal measure. Back on Virelia, Kryn convened a meeting with Harper. "Your people, they are unlike any we have encountered. Even our oldest allies would tremble if they knew how few of you achieved so much." Harper smiled faintly. "We are humans. We survive by adapting, learning, and never backing down. Others may have fleets and weapons, but we have ideas and courage. That is what makes the difference." Kryn nodded. A realization dawned on him. Humans were not merely allies. They were a force the galaxy had not yet comprehended. As the swarm regrouped, they realized the humans were not just unpredictable. They were inspiring. The Virelian soldiers, once ready to surrender or flee, now fought with renewed confidence. Human tactics encouraged them to think differently, act boldly, and trust in teamwork. One human strike team, led by Commander Elias Novik, executed a daring boarding mission. They infiltrated a swarm control vessel, using stealth, speed, and precision to disable critical systems. The Virelian officers watching remotely could hardly believe it. "They are ghosts," one whispered. "They appear, strike, and vanish without a trace." Novik returned to his ship with a simple report. "Mission successful, minimal losses, swarm command disrupted." For the first time in months, the Virelians allowed themselves a spark of hope. Meanwhile, Harper continued to push boundaries. He encouraged his officers to think creatively, not just react. "Never fight the way your enemy expects," he told them. "Never give them the battle they want. The moment you act differently, you gain control." It was a lesson the Virelians were only beginning to understand. In their long history, they had relied on overwhelming force and precision. But humans proved that brains, courage, and unpredictability could overcome raw strength. The swarm, growing desperate, launched an unexpected attack on Virelia's central system. Massive ships advanced in formation, confident that they would crush the small human-led defenses. Harper calmly analyzed the situation. "They think they know us," he said. "Let's remind them they don't." In a coordinated maneuver, the humans divided their forces. Small teams engaged the swarm directly, drawing attention. Meanwhile, other teams navigated asteroid belts, gravitational anomalies, and even natural storms to strike at the swarm's supply lines and command centers. The result was chaos for the swarm. Ships collided, communications failed, and the once unstoppable force stumbled. Virean admirals struggled to comprehend what was happening. They are not supposed to do this," one muttered. "We outnumber them 10-1. Kryn stood silently, a mixture of awe and relief in his eyes. Humans had turned the battle upside down, not through force, but through ingenuity and courage. By the end of the engagement, the swarm retreated, weakened, and disoriented. For the first time, the Vireans felt they could win, not just survive. Soldiers cheered, pilots hugged, and hope spread like wildfire across the planet. Kryn approached Harper once more. "Your people, they are remarkable. We owe our survival to you." Harper shook his head. "We did this together. The Vireans are brave, intelligent, and willing to fight. We only showed a way to use that strength differently." Even in victory, Harper remained humble. Yet his presence, and the presence of humans across the battlefield, had already changed the galaxy's perception of Earth species. As night fell over Virelia, Kryn looked up at the stars. Somewhere beyond the light years, other civilizations had begun to notice humans. Stories of small fleets defeating massive enemies spread across the cosmos. Alien leaders whispered in fear and respect. "If humans come, we may not survive." For the first time, humans were no longer just a minor species. They were a symbol of courage, strategy, and unpredictability. They had proven that intelligence, adaptability, and determination could stand against overwhelming odds, and the galaxy would never forget it. The galaxy was beginning to change. News of the humans' actions in the Virelia system had spread far beyond the neighboring sectors. Traders whispered in marketplaces on distant worlds, scouts reported to their fleets, and even the most powerful civilizations began to take note. Humans, the small and unpredictable species, had turned the tide against the unstoppable swarm. On the orbiting station above Virelia, Captain Alex Harper reviewed reports with Kryn. The Virelians had rebuilt their defenses, repaired damaged fleets, and were now preparing for the final confrontation. The swarm, though weakened, had grown desperate. Its remaining ships moved unpredictably, launching attacks that were designed to intimidate. Yet Harper and his team saw opportunity in chaos. "They think their numbers scare us," Harper said quietly. "They do not know humans." Kryn's eyes reflected awe and cautious hope. "Your people, they are not just brave, you see things others cannot. You understand the patterns of fear and opportunity." Harper nodded. "That is what humans do. We fight smarter, not just harder." The final battle was set near the Nebula of Shadows, a dangerous region filled with energy storms and dense asteroid fields. Most civilizations avoided it entirely, but the humans saw the value in its hazards. The natural chaos would mask their movements and give them the element of surprise. The Virelian fleet was hesitant. "It is dangerous," one admiral warned. "Many ships could be lost." Harper smiled faintly. "We will lose fewer than if we stayed in the open. The swarm will not expect us to use their own environment against them." And so, with humans leading, the combined fleet of humans and Virelians advanced into the nebula. Inside the nebula, visibility was minimal. Energy storms crackled unpredictably, sending ships spinning off course. Yet the humans navigated with uncanny precision. Pilots who had trained in asteroid belts, meteor storms, and orbital anomalies now applied every skill they had learned. Each human ship acted as both scout and striker, identifying weaknesses and exploiting them immediately. Lieutenant Mara Reyes directed her squadron with calm focus. "Use the energy currents to mask your approach, strike at command nodes first, avoid head-on collisions, move fast, think faster." The Virelians observed in disbelief. Every maneuver, every decision seemed improvised, yet flawless. The swarm, unable to adapt as quickly, found itself trapped in the nebula's natural hazards while human strike teams disabled its command links. Meanwhile, Captain Harper led a daring assault on the swarm's flagship. The massive vessel, armored and bristling with weapons, should have been invincible, yet the humans approached differently. Rather than attacking with raw firepower, They used distraction, speed, and deception. Small human ships darted in and out, drawing enemy fire while others planted disruption devices on critical points of the flagship. Inside, human boarding teams moved silently, avoiding unnecessary conflict and targeting the ship's central systems. Kryn watched from the command station, unable to tear his eyes away. "They are almost like ghosts," he muttered. "And yet they strike with precision that even our best cannot match." Hours passed. The nebula echoed with the sounds of distant explosions and communications interference, yet human ships continued to strike decisively. The swarm's morale began to falter. Its once coordinated attacks now lacked strategy, and mistakes multiplied rapidly. Admiral Torvin of the Swarm, who had led countless victories across the galaxy, finally realized the truth. Humans, they are unlike any enemy we have faced. They do not fight like others. Their strength is in their unpredictability. They are dangerous beyond measure. On the surface of Violia, citizens watched the battle unfold via sensors and broadcast feeds. Fear had once gripped them, but now hope filled every heart. Violians began to understand what Kryn had known all along. Humans were more than warriors. They were inspiring allies who made even the strongest species question their own limits. In one daring maneuver, human ships led by Commander Elias Novik trapped a portion of the swarm in a gravitational eddy. The enemy ships collided, systems overloaded, and many were destroyed without a single human casualty. It was a moment that would be remembered across generations. By mid-battle, the swarm's remaining forces attempted to retreat, but Harper anticipated this. Using small, fast-strike teams, the humans cut off escape routes, systematically dismantling each fleeing vessel. Their tactics combined cunning, speed, and bravery, an entirely new kind of warfare that the swarm could not comprehend. Kryn turned to a Violian admiral. "They are not just fighting, they are reshaping the battlefield itself, and we are witnessing something extraordinary." The admiral could only nod. "I never thought I would see such a force in my lifetime. Humans, they are a gift and a warning to the galaxy." Finally, the flagship of the swarm, crippled and leaderless, surrendered. Human boarding teams secured the vessel and ensured that no further threat would arise from it. With this decisive victory, the swarm retreated entirely from the Violia system, leaving humans and Violians to reclaim their lost worlds. The aftermath was a mixture of relief, celebration, and awe. Violians embraced one another, grateful for the humans' assistance. But beyond gratitude, there was something more profound: respect. Kryn addressed Harper in a formal ceremony on Violia's capital world. "You and your people arrived when we were on the brink of extinction. You fought not with overwhelming numbers, but with courage, intelligence, and unity. Your actions have saved our world and reshaped our understanding of strength." Harper smiled. "We did not do it alone. Your people fought bravely, adapted quickly, and showed courage at every step. Humans only helped channel that strength differently." Across the galaxy, reports of humans' victory spread like wildfire. Other civilizations, previously dismissive or indifferent, now began to take notice. "If humans arrive," one counselor of a distant empire said quietly, "even the strongest fleets tremble." This fear was not born of hatred, but respect for human ingenuity and courage. Aliens who had long underestimated Earth now realized that humans were unpredictable, resourceful, and unafraid of the impossible. Harper and his fleet remained modest. They did not gloat, did not boast, and returned to Earth with their ships intact, carrying the stories of Violia's salvation. Yet the galaxy had learned a truth: humanity was a species to be reckoned with. Months later, Kryn spoke to Harper one final time before the humans departed Violia. "Your people, you have changed more than this war. You have changed how the galaxy sees us all. Humans are unique." Harper nodded. "We are humans. We do not rely on fear, size, or strength alone. We rely on ideas, courage, and teamwork, and we never underestimate the impossible." Kryn paused, his multiple arms folded in contemplation. "The galaxy will remember this, and some, I fear, will dread your return." Harper chuckled softly. "Let them. We do not seek fear, only to protect and to show what humans can do when united." As the human fleet departed, stars stretched around them like silver rivers. Behind them, Violia and its citizens began to rebuild, their society forever changed by the example of humans. The swarm had been defeated, but more importantly, the galaxy had seen what humanity could accomplish. small in number yet unstoppable in spirit. Somewhere in the distant reaches of space, alien fleets prepared for the possibility of encountering humans again. They did not know when, where, or how, but they knew one thing clearly: humans are not a species to underestimate. And on Earth, humans continued their quiet lives, unaware that their courage and ingenuity had sparked both hope and fear across the stars. They were explorers, fighters, thinkers, and dreamers, and the galaxy would never forget them. For humans had arrived with their smallest fleet, and the universe had learned, in awe and fear, the true strength of humanity.